Hi everyone, it's Maria here and welcome to the answer video. In this video I'll be showing you step-by-step explanations on how to answer the questions from the 11 Plus practice paper. So before you start this video, you should have completed the 11 Plus practice paper and you should have marked your answers, so by now you know where you went wrong and where you went right in the paper. So now that that's done, I'd advise you to be sitting down with the video beside you and also your practice paper and the answer sheet. So remember, the main goal of me creating this video is to explain how to get the answers so that you can understand your mistakes, so that if a similar question comes up on the 11 Plus paper, you won't make the same mistake again. So let's start straight into the first question. So the first question was on the maths section. And this was the question. Look at the train timetable. How long does it take train A from Rain to Port? So what I always do, I like to highlight the key words or phrases for me to answer each question. So the key word would be train A. So all we're looking at is train A from Rain to Port. So looking at this timetable, we have train A and it's from Rain 10:47 to Port 13:10. So how long does it take from 10:47 to 13:10? Now I know with time, many students are taught many ways. There's different ways. Some people take away the numbers. What I always do, and I kind of do this in my head, but I wrote it down, is I always do 10:47 to 11:47 is 1 hour. And then you have 11:47 till 12:47 is 2 hours. Now if we went to another hour, it'd be 13:47, so that's too much. So I know it's 2 hours have gone by to 12:47. I always look at 12:47. 47 is very close to another hour, so it's very close to the 1 o'clock. 47 to 1 o'clock. How many minutes till we get to 1 o'clock? And that would be 13 minutes. And then all we have to do is from 1 o'clock or 1300 hours to, if it says up here, Port is 13:10. How many minutes have gone by from 1 o'clock to 1:10? That would be 10 hours. So all we have to do now is I count up the hours and the minutes that has gone by. So the hour and the other hour is 2 hours. And we count up the minutes, 13 minutes to 10 and 10 minutes is 23 minutes. So the answer has to be B, 2 hours, 23 minutes. Okay, so let's just have a look at the next question. Question 2 is part of now this train timetable. It says, if train C was delayed by 20 minutes, what time would it depart from Rain? So train C, that would be key. I would highlight this, and don't be afraid to highlight it on your paper as well. Train C was delayed by 20 minutes. What time would it depart from Rain? So we have train C here, and we have Rain, so we have to go down to train C. So it was meant to leave at 13:45. Delayed by 20 minutes. So I almost nearly break down the minutes. So 13:45, if I was delayed by 15 minutes, I would nearly do it to the hour, which was up to 2 o'clock, 1400 hours. 15 minutes has gone past. So 15 minutes has gone past from 1:45 to 2 o'clock. Now it says it's delayed by 20 minutes. So there's an extra 5 minutes that need to be added on. So to 14:05. We'll bring it up to your 20 minutes. So that means it would depart from Rain. If it's delayed by 20 minutes, it has to be answer D, 14:05. Okay, so let's look at the next question. A shop holds a discount where everything has a 10% discount. If the original cost of a dress was £65, how much will it cost in the sale? Okay, so 10% of a discount. So especially in year 5 and 6, you work a lot with percentages. And 10%, you might have done this in school before, 10% of 50. And the key is, or what some teachers teach, 10%, the decimal point, where the decimal point is at the 50, that's going to get 1 decimal point. If we move it over here, the decimal point will move smaller. So 10% of 50 will become 5. That number, the decimal point, moves over to the left hand side to make the number smaller. You're finding 10% of that number. If you're finding 10% of 70, for example, you could move the decimal point. Imagine where the decimal point is of 70. Move it over, it's going to get 10% smaller. The decimal point will go there. So the answer is 7. 10% of 80, again, it's going to get 10% smaller. You move the decimal point over to the left hand side, it's going to get smaller, and 10% of 80 is 8. It's the same when we look at, say, these. 10% of 600. The way I figure out this is, look where the decimal point is. For 10%, to go over to the left, it's going to get 10% smaller. The decimal point is just going to jump over one decimal point, and it's going to be there. So 10% of 600 is 60. 10% of 85, we move this over here, and it'll be 85. Sorry, 850 is 85. And 10% of 950, move this over here, is 95. And that's how we work out 10% in school. Now, if we said, what's 50 times 10, say for this one, if it's going to get bigger, we move the decimal point over. So we get 10% bigger than 50. But since we're looking at percent, it's going to get smaller. So when we look at 10% of 65 is 6.50. Now how do we get that? If you move, imagine the decimal point is going to be there. You're going to move it, the 65, into the middle to make 6.5 or 6.50. It'll be the same thing. So 10% of 65, because that's how much the dress was. 10% of 65, we moved over the decimal point to here. So £6.50 of a discount is what you get from a dress worth 65%. £65. Now it says, how much will it cost in the sale? So they're not asking what's the discount. This isn't the answer. They're not asking what is the discount. They'll say after the discount, how much will it cost? So that's key. There's almost like two parts to this question. You have to find what the discount is. So we found the discount is this. Now if you say, what will the new price be once the discount is on? So you have to take £6.50 away from £65, which leaves you with £58.50. So the answer has to be, C, £58.50. Now sometimes they might just ask you what is the discount, and it'll be this £6.50. This one there's nearly two parts because they want to know the cost in the sale now. How much will the dress cost? So with the discount in the sale, the dress will cost now £58.50. So it's going to be answer C. Let's look at the next one. An acrobat completes a 1.5 somersault in the air. How many degrees did she turn? Now I know something similar like this has been asked, I think, in the SATs. You're looking at, the keyword here is 1.5 and it's degrees. You know they're talking about degrees. You know it's going to be kind of talking about angles. So just a recap, you should know that anything right angled is going to be 90 degrees. A straight line like this is 180 degrees. Now when you think of a full circle, when you're going around a full circle like this, if you've been taught this in school, this is a full circle is 360 degrees. Okay, now you have to imagine an acrobat is doing a 1.5 somersault in the air. So she is turning fully around this. So she's done a 360, she's done fully round, and then she's done a half. So she's done half. So what is half of 360? What is half of a circle? If we go around half the way, is 180 degrees. So she's just done then a half. So 1.5 degrees is 360 plus 180, which gives you 540 degrees. So the answer has to be A, 540 degrees. Now this can be tricky because I know a lot of students struggle in this. What do they mean 1.5 somersaults? You know, they should have done full circle maybe to make it explain it properly. But this is the way the question was. So 1.5 somersaults, and you have to think of the degrees. So it's going to be angles is going to be 180, the 90s. You need to know what a full circle is 360. If you didn't know what the full circle is, you wouldn't have been able to attempt this question. It's kind of key information like this that you need to know prior to the exam to answer the question. So you'd need to have known that a full circle is 360, half a circle is 180. These simple facts will help you answer these type of questions. So the answer then, as I said, is A, 540 degrees once you add up the full 360, the one and the half a somersault, which is 180, to make 540. Okay, let's go on to the next one. It says Admir has £50. He bought a DVD for £12.99, sweets for £4.99 and cinema tickets for £15.99. How much money does he have left? Okay, so we need to add up what he's bought first. £12.99, £4.99 and £15.99, which is £33.97. Now, that's how much he spent. So if this says how much money did he spend, that would be the answer, but it wasn't. It's another part. How much money does he have left from the £50? What you have to do is take away the £33.97 from 50 and you get 1603. So the answer then has to be B, 1603. That's his change. Same as saying what he's left, that's his change. The key part, or where people can go wrong, is where they don't put the decimal points in the correct. Always decimal points have to be aligned with each other. Some people make a mistake, they might put the 4 where the 1s are, and then the 9 and the 9, and things can, mistakes can be made very, very easily with the kind of not putting the decimal point in the correct place. Remember, if it's anything to do with money or decimal points at anything, always align them straight under each other. Don't matter about how the numbers look. If they're in line with each other, then you're doing the right thing. The answer will be correct. So the answer there is B, 1603. That's how much he has left. Now the next question. Sarah spends 3/4 of her money on clothes and then she spends £3.50 on phone accessories. She has £16.50 left. How much did she have at the start? Now this can be tricky for some people to grasp, but I always think start from the end and work back. So she has £16.50, but then she spends £3.50, so that's kind of taken away, but you have to kind of reverse what she's done. Backtrack what she's done to kind of find out the answer, because they're asking how much did she have at the start. So you don't know how much she has at the start, but you know how much she has at the end. It's almost like a reverse of what normally the question is asked. Normally question, how much does she have left at the end, but we already know this, so we need to work back the way. So £16.50 is what she's left. Now if you were to give back her phone accessories, £3.50, she has £20. Sarah spends 3/4 of her money on clothes and then she spends £3.50 on phone accessories, and then she's £16.50 left. So by buying the phone accessories, she's £20. 1/4 is £20. If you see she spends 3/4 of it, and before she buys her phone or anything, she has £20 left, and that is the other quarter. So as you may realise, you've done fractions before. 4/4 is a total of 1. So she spent 3/4, so she's 1/4 left that she has spent her phone accessories, and that's £20. So you see here, the other 3/4 has to be made up of £20 also. 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 to make the full 4/4 is going to be B, £80. Now the next one I'm going to show you is with the diagram. There are 6 eggs on a tray and 3 trays can fit in a box. If a shopkeeper orders 12 boxes, how many eggs did he buy? Don't be afraid if you need to draw diagrams. I always find diagrams help me as well, just to make sense of what exactly they're asking you. So there are 6 eggs on a tray. So as you see here, 6 eggs. They're red eggs for this example. These eggs, and there's 3 trays can fit in a box. So in one box there's all of these. So how many eggs is this together? You can count them. There's 6 there, 6, 12, 18. So there's 18 in one full box. And don't be afraid, I would draw these if you have time, draw them on a scrap of paper, just to see exactly what they're asking you to do in a visual form. So now, the shopkeeper orders 12 boxes. So in one box, we've said 18. So how many would it be in 12 boxes? In 12 boxes, you have to think of, it's going to be 18 in each box. There's going to be 12 boxes. We need to times 12 by 18. The answer is going to be 216. That's how many eggs he bought after he bought his 12 boxes. So the answer A, 216 eggs. That's how many he bought. Okay, question 8. 52,683 are attending a concert. Round this number to the nearest thousand. So I wouldn't even attempt in my head, especially under exam pressure or anything, you try and write down the figure yourself. So 52,000, I'd write it down. 683,000 are attending the concert. Round this number to the nearest thousand. Okay, so the nearest thousand, you're looking at the 2 here in blue. It was in blue. Now, we're looking at the thousands. Then you look to the right and see the hundreds line, and you see that what the rule is, what you've taught about rounding, you've probably done this since year 1 and 2. If it's 0 to 4, you round down. 5 to 9, you round up. So as you can see, this number is 6. So 683. So if we're looking at this, 683, what is the nearest thousand to 683? If we're at 2,683, so it's higher, so it's in the round up stage, to 5 to 9, so 6, you have to round it up. Round it up to the nearest thousand. It has to be 53,000. I would always make sure you're really confident about rounding. It is a common question that comes up in some form in the papers, and it's well worth practice. If you need to put more videos on, let me know, give me back feedback. I can do a lot more practice on rounding numbers if you need to, so just let me know about that. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Recipe for cupcakes is as follows. How much flour is needed if you are making this recipe for 6 people? Let's look at the key information that's needed here again. So they've already highlighted actually the flour, so all your concentration on is the flour for the time being. And for 6 people, now some people just look at this, 200 eggs but the key actually information is up here, because this recipe, it says, is for 12 people. What do? You need it for 6 people. 200 grams, we know from here, is needed for 12 people. 6 people, so what's the relationship between the 6 and 12? 6 is half of 12, so that means you'll need half the ingredients if you're only making it for 6 people. So if 200 grams of flour is needed for 12, you will need 100 grams is needed for 6 people. You're halving the recipe down. Like that, if they said, as you see here, 4 eggs is needed for 12 people, how many eggs are needed for 6 people? Well, half that again. So the answer for that one is B, 100 grams. Let's see, the next question is connected with the recipe. If I wanted to make this recipe for 9 people, how many eggs would I need? I am a huge believer of the bar model, so using a bar to show your answers, it's a good visualizer as well. What I do is, I've kind of cut it down. 12 people need 4 eggs. Okay, so if you cut it down like that, 9 people will need 3, 6, 2. For 3 people, it only needs 1 egg. So I've kind of cut it up, try and chunked it into quarters. So I go 3, 6, 9, 12. So you have your 12 people with 4 eggs, 9 people for 3 eggs, 6 people for 2, as I said, and 3 people will need 1 egg. And they're asking for 9 people. So I hugely believe in this bar model. You might have other ways. People have so many ways of trying to figure out this kind of problem solving. I really find the bar model is really, really good. You divide it by 4, because that's how many eggs there are needed for the 12 people, and you work it out using this bar model. I find it the quickest way. I didn't always use it this way. I was kind of trained after I went to a few courses in maths, because I was maths leader, that they used bar modeling an awful lot, and I do find it great like this. I find it a lot easier to explain questions like this that can be difficult to understand. Again, if you want me to show you more bar modeling techniques, just let me know in the feedback and I can do more courses and more videos explaining the bar model when answering maths questions. But for this question, for 9 people, I'd work out that you needed 3 eggs. Okay, let's go on to the next question. The cooking instructions for cooking a chicken are as required. So cooking a chicken, you need 40 minutes per kg and an extra 20 minutes. No matter what the kg is, you need an extra 20 minutes. So if I buy a 3 kg chicken, how many minutes will it be cooking for? For each kg, it's going to be 40 minutes. So 1 kg is 40 minutes plus the 20 minutes, which is 60 minutes. If it was 2 kg, you'd have 40 minutes and 40 minutes plus your 20 minutes, which is 100 minutes. 3 kg will be 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, plus 20 minutes, because it's always an extra 20 minutes no matter what kg it is. This is 140 minutes. So this really formula tells you your answer. If you follow this formula, you should be able to get the answer. So the answer to this one, if it's a 3 kg chicken, it's going to be C, 140 minutes. Now the next question is connected with the formula. It says, if I cook a chicken for 3 hours and 40 minutes, let's highlight that, 3 hours and 40 minutes, what size chicken did I buy? So again, you're using this formula. You need to use this formula to be able to answer the question. If I cook a chicken for 3 hours and 40 minutes, what's the size? We're looking for the size. So you know every chicken, again, it's kind of working backwards trying to get to the kg. Every chicken needs 20 minutes, no matter what the kg. So I would always say 3 hours and 40 minutes. You can always change it to minutes to make it easier. So 3 hours 40 minutes is 220 minutes. You know that every chicken, no matter what the kg, takes extra 20 minutes. So you're going to take away the 20 minutes, and that will leave you at 200 minutes. From this, we know that 40 minutes per kg. We can either add up the 40 minutes and 40 minutes to see how much kg that equals to. So we have 40 and 40 and 40 and 40 and 40 equals 200 minutes. So that's 1 kg, 2, 3, 4, 5, 40 minutes will equal 200 minutes. So that equals 5 kg. So the answer has to be B, 5 kg. So again, you're kind of working with the information you know, you're working almost backwards. You're adding on 20 minutes in the first question, question 11. Now question 12, they're asking nearly to take off the 20 minutes and then find out your kg. You're working backwards on the formula. You're almost working this way. And instead of plussing, you're minusing, and then you are dividing in the 40 minutes into 200 minutes to find your kg. Let's look at the next question. 355 passengers board a plane at London Heathrow to New York JFK. If they collect a fifth more passengers at Dublin Airport, how many passengers land in JFK? Again, this is going to be fractions. The key words here are a fifth and 355 passengers. But a fifth more, so you need a fifth more, I would say. So you need to find what a fifth of 355 is. How would you do that? You need to do 5 into 355. So dividing, I'm sure you've done this in class as well. 5 into 3 you cannot do. 5 into 35 goes 7 times. And then 5 into 5 goes once. That means a fifth of 355 is 71. So they say a fifth more passengers at Dublin Airport are collected. So you need to add 355 plus the 71, and it gets you 426. So 426 landed in JFK altogether. 355 boarded at London, and another fifth, which is 71, boarded in Dublin Airport. So a total of 426 landed in JFK. The answer has to be A, 426. Okay, the next one, question 14. Each day a newspaper agent sells about 234 newspaper each day. How many will they sell in a fortnight? 234 each day is key, and a fortnight. Again, there is some vocabulary that you will need to know prior to the exam. And if you didn't know what fortnight was, then you would be stuck in this exam. A fortnight is the same as saying 2 weeks. So if you did not know that, you would have struggled with this question. Fortnight is 2 weeks, so 234 a day. 234 times 14, 936, then also 234 because it's long multiplication. The answer with long multiplication times it by 14 is E3276. Okay, the next one, 84.62 times it by 100. Now this is going to get 100 times bigger. Similar to what I was talking about previously with the 10%. 10% is getting smaller, but times anything by 100 or by 10 or by 1,000, it's going to move the decimal point to the right hand side. It's going to get bigger. So like this, if you're times it by 10, like I've seen here, times anything by 10 is going to get bigger. Not percent will make it smaller, but your times it by 10 is going to get 10 times bigger. All I do is move this point here. So it's 846.2 if you times it by 10. If you times it by 100, you're moving it 2 places to the right. You're moving it here is by 10 and here is by 100. So the decimal point is going to be after the 2. So it's going to be 8,462. The answer has to be D, 8,462. Question 16. A side of a hexagon has a length of 7 centimeters. What is the perimeter of this hexagon? Again, key information, key vocabulary that you need to know is you need to know how many sides has a hexagon. That's going over your shapes. So you need to know your shapes. Hexagon has 6 sides. Now the length of each one is 7 centimeters. What is the perimeter? So the perimeter is like a fence going around. There's 6 sides and they're each of 7 centimeters. So it has to be 7 times 6 is 42 centimeters. So the answer has to be B, 42. I would also advise knowing perimeter and area as well. There are keywords that are commonly asked in the 11 plus and different exams questions, especially in year 5 and 6. So that's a key to note as well. The shapes and perimeter and area, being able to find perimeter is like a fence, I always tell them. Going around, it's just going around the object. The area is the actual area, say, of this green shade. You'd find the whole area of this and you'd be timesing it. Okay, next question 17. Max swims 12 lengths of the swimming pool. Carol swims 18 widths of the swimming pool. What is the difference in meters they swam? The difference. If you see here, this is swimming pool, 10 meters in length, so that means max. The 12 times 10, again, you're timesing it by 10, this thing comes up again. Times by 10, it's going to get 10% bigger. So you're going to move, if there's a decimal point, just imagine the decimal point is going to be after the 2. You move it to the right hand side, it's going to get 10 times bigger. So it means 120 meters is what Max swam. Carol swam 18 widths of the swimming pool, and if you see over here, the width is 6 meters, so you have to times 18 times 6, which is 108. Now, they didn't say what's in total. You'd add them. No, they're saying what is the difference. The difference you have to take away. Okay, a key word there again. If you don't know what they're asking about the difference is take away. You would do 120, take away 108 meters is 12 meters. So the answer has to be B, 12 meters. This next one, this quadrilateral has 2 right angles and 122 degree angle. What is the angle of the fourth angle? So key information you need to know is they mightn't even sometimes give you a diagram, there might just be those words. You need to know that the quadrilateral has 4 sides. Just in case, don't show you a picture and you can't see how many sides it has. You need to know what a right angle, how many degrees does a right angle have? A right angle has 90 degrees and then the 120 degrees. So 2 right angles in it and a 122 degree angle. What is the angle of the fourth? So what do we know already? We know that how many degrees in a quadrilateral. This is the main thing you need to know, and you also need to know how many degrees in a right angle. So how many degrees in a quadrilateral? 360. And how many degrees in a right angle? You have 90 degrees. This is information, if you did not know this information, you would find it very hard to answer this question. This is all prior knowledge that needs to be developed before you go into the exam. Knowing what we know, how many degrees are in a quadrilateral and how many degrees in a right angle. So in this particular shape, there's 2 right angles. It's 90 and 90. Then you also have to add 122 for this third angle. If you add them up together, you're left with 302. So that's the 3 angles. Now you need to find the fourth angle. Now, you know, as we said up here, the quadrilateral has 360 degrees in it. So 360, you have to take away 302 from it, because that's the 3 shapes, to find the fourth angle, which is left with 58. So the answer then has to be D, 58. So again, there's like 2 parts to this question, and you'll often see that. Make sure you have a piece of paper or something that you can write on to work out all your workings. In case this shape wasn't shown, if the shape like this is shown on the exam, you can scribble in 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 120. This has to equal 360. It's okay to do your own drawings like that. Whatever way it helps for you to answer this question. They don't mind as long as you fill in your answer correctly on the answer sheet. So the answer to this one is D, 58 degrees. Number 19. Which of these statements are true? So looking at this diagram here, favorite type of movies. Okay, so you have A. Comedy and drama together is the same amount as romance. So if we look up comedy and drama, if we add up comedy and drama together, you get 25%. And romance, now why did I put 10% there? It should be 30%, I can see from here. But still, that's not true. Even if it's 30%, 25%, they don't equal. The next one, B, is 2/5 of the people surveyed preferred comedy. 2/5. So as I said down here, 1/5 is 20%. 2/5 is 40%. So there's 40% of people surveyed prefer comedy. If you look up here, no, it's only 20%. So I would always change it. So even though it said 2/5, this is where you need to be able to relate back from fractions to decimals to percentages to be able to answer these types of questions. So I have instantly changed 1/5 or 2/5 into percentages because that's what they have here, and it's a lot easier to work out than my answers. So that's not right. Let's see C. Half of the people preferred romance. If you see half, so what does half mean in percentage? Half means 50%, which is incorrect because that's 30%. D, sci-fi was the least favorite. So even looking, if you just want to look at the colors, you'll see which is the least favorite, and that is drama. So it's not sci-fi. Sci-fi was 20%. The least favorite was drama. That's not true either. And the last one, it says quarter of people preferred action. So a quarter, again, I've automatically need to know a quarter is the same as saying 25%, is the same as saying 25 over 100. All these decimals, fractions, and same in decimal form is 0.25. So a quarter equals 25%. And over here, if we see action, does action equal a quarter? Does action equal 25%? Yes, it does. So the answer has to be E. A quarter of the people preferred action. Okay, let's look at the last question on the maths. Question 20. Which decimal is the smallest? What I always do is, some people can get turned off about there's so many digits saying A, that has to be really big. There's only one digit here, so that's kind of small, and they're looking at that. But I would always put them over 1,000. If I can, we add in zeros at the end of numbers. That's okay to do so. It's still the same number, is still equivalent to the same. So if I put the first on A, 707, I've just put it 707, 707 over 1,000. B, 500 over 1,000. C, 770 over 1,000. D, 210 over 1,000. And E, 560 over 1,000. Now this is the way I always do it. I find this the easiest. You might have been taught other ways, or you might find other ways easier to do. If you do, just let me know. I'd love to know how you would figure this out. But this is the way I kind of do it. I always put them over something and then judge them as all the same. So they're all over 1,000 now. Now, which is the smallest number? 707, 500, 770, 210, or 560? So looking at that, it just makes it easier for me to see, okay, I can clearly see the smallest number there is D, 210. 200 is a lot smaller than any of the numbers, so it has to be D. So that's all the questions from the maths section.